Again, I dare you. I double dare you, mother.
Get busy living. You get busy dying.
Open the pod bay doors, Hal.
You're gonna need a bigger boat. And here we go.
All right, welcome back to another episode of the Cinema Cult Podcast. I'm your host, Kody Maloof. With me, as always, my co-host, Dante Troina. How's it going, Dante?
Going all right. I think we're going to talk about a lot of TV today, but we're kind of eating right now. We're getting some good shows funneled our way. You know, Last of Us coming out this week, we'll touch on. Studio. I'm really liking where Daredevil's going, and then Andor coming up soon too. So our movie season's starting to kick off a bit, and then TV's been kind of stealing our attention right now. So having a good time with it.
Yeah, it's actually interesting. We've been talking about so much TV recently because I'm not a big TV guy. I watch like maybe 4 or 5 TV shows a year max. You know, I watch way more movies
Yeah.
than I watch episodes of TV, like, and not even close. So yeah, kind of, but we've been getting a lot of good TV, like you've been saying, like Studio. We've been talking about Daredevil, whether it's good or not. I don't know about that, but um, and then now we're going to talk about The Last of Us later in this episode too. So definitely some quality TV coming out lately, and I think there's been more. Well, Severance, I watched Severance last season, or the latest season. So yeah, and I think there's a lot more good TV that's been put out than I've seen too. I've heard of some other good shows coming
Yeah, I
out
know
recently.
Adolescence has been killing it on Netflix. I'm
Yeah, I
kind of
gotta
interested
watch
in
that.
that.
Hmm.
But yeah, you'll get your 4 or 5 in pretty quick this year. There's been, again, like a lot of good shows, a lot of interesting shows too. I think each streaming service is kind of having their moment, their turn. So good for streaming services. At least they're putting out content maybe worthy of their price tag this year. So okay with that.
Yeah, you know what else I've been watching actually recently on Netflix is Everybody's Live with John Mulaney. You know anything about that?
No.
Well, it's based on, it's like the same show. He did a show last year called Everybody's in LA, but it's like a live kind of variety talk show where
Oh,
he
cool.
is live on Netflix, and then you can
Yeah.
watch it back later if you don't watch it live. But it's like him in a studio audience. He has a sidekick, a couch, you know, and he gets like people in to just talk about random shit. Like the LA theme season was like all stuff about LA. So one episode, like the theme is like coyotes or palm trees or earthquakes, you know, something to do
Okay.
with LA. And he just gets
Yeah.
like random people. He gets like John Carpenter in to talk about palm trees, you know, and it's
Nice.
just like,
Nice.
and gets, you know, and then gets like an expert on the
Cool.
situation into, and but it's just really funny and freewheeling, and it's not serious at all. It's like just really funny. But he's doing a new version of that recently. So there's like 7 episodes of that out now. But it's pretty funny if you want to try something like that's kind of like a late night style talk show, but it's a lot more like irreverent and just like freewheeling and
Yeah.
doesn't really take itself as seriously as like a true like late night talk show. It's pretty funny.
That's cool. I think ever since, I mean, Conan was basically the only late night guy I
Yeah,
ever watched
agreed.
at with any sort of
Love
consistency. So
Conan.
there is definitely a void there where I do enjoy late night talk show hosts, and I do enjoy like the idea of getting to know more about directors, actors, whoever. And I like the niche that you kind of described where it is just, John Carpenter talking about palm trees. Like,
It's just
okay, sign me
random.
up,
Yeah, or like Ben Stiller talking about cruise ships with a cruise ship expert. That was like the last episode I
Right.
watched.
Okay.
And then they take calls
Sure.
too during the show. They take calls from the phone lines. People call in and they have something to say about cruise ships or something, you know,
Oh,
like it's
Jesus.
just kind of funny. But John Mulaney is just hilarious. So like anything he does, it usually works.
Yeah. Yeah, he's a fun creative mind. Just
Hmm.
put him on screen, put him behind the scenes, voice acting, animating, whatever he's going to do. It'll probably be worth your time.
Yeah. Well, spinning into a show that we both watched last week, episode 4 of The Studio. I really loved it. I mean, we've really been loving this show, and I think it just continues to build. I don't think they're going to come out with an episode that I'm not going to like at this point. But what do you
Yeah.
think?
I love the shtick. I just love each episode being its own episode. While there is part of me that does want it to kind of build and be a little bit more and give his character maybe a little more development, especially Matt as the studio head. There's also part of me who's like, yeah, cool. I'm cool for an episode of the Chinatown ripoff and tracking down some missing film. Like, show us as film fans, remind us why we love film, do these complicated oneers, long takes, and just spend a week talking about film, spend a week talking about a note, spend a week talking about marketing or, a final shot in a movie. Like, that's cool stuff. I'm fine with 30 minutes of that each week, and it just fills in. It's just a nice warm watch every like Wednesday or Tuesday whenever I get around to it.
Yeah, it just feels good to just like
Yeah.
settle in and watch an episode of this show. But I saw something recently on Twitter. It was replying to like showing how they pulled off some of the long takes in the studio in like the first episode or second episode. Someone was quoting it and saying that like
Right.
no, the audience doesn't care about long takes. You know, audience doesn't give a fuck, and I
Yes, we
do, and
do.
anyone
Yeah.
watching this
Yeah.
show definitely does because
Yeah.
you know it's that's who the show is made for. So of course you're gonna shoot it in this way where it's like drawing attention to itself if you care about that kind of stuff.
Well, and I actually replied to it because our friend Emilio, who's an amazing small film director, independent filmmaker, he left a comment on it, and I just replied to him, and we are both on the same side. Like, if you're watching the studio, it's because you care about stuff like this, and
Exactly.
this is essential to the show's visual language and pacing, and it's essential to how the show is made. Like, the studio wouldn't be the studio without those oneers and without these convoluted cameras and takes and set pieces, and that's what makes the show the show. That's what the show is inherently about. So you're just half-assing it if you're not doing that. So I love to see the behind the scenes of that. I'm part of the audience that does care, so
Mm-hmm.
that's where I stand on that.
Exactly. It's like Ryan Coogler, the Ryan Coogler video of him with all the showing all the different formats you can watch.
Yeah.
You can watch Sinners in. Like that video isn't made for someone who's just gonna go watch it like and doesn't even care about or doesn't know about the different formats, right? Like that's made for
Yeah.
people who want to like go deeper into this stuff and who care about that kind of shit.
It's not made for our friends who we talked into getting a letterboxed and they logged like 13
Exactly.
movies, right? And they
Exactly.
only used it the day of them getting the app. Like,
Uh-huh.
this is for the nerds. This is for us. So we and there's even more people like us. Like, this is why we're starting a podcast. This is why you see a bunch of film podcasts and reviewers pop up and a bunch of people having opinions about film, because it's just spreading like wildfire, especially I think post-pandemic to people. And people do want to watch good stuff, and especially in a time where the market is extremely saturated, we want things that stand out and are unique. And so give it to us. Like, we're a growing audience, and we will continue to subscribe to Apple TV with their pumping out shows like Severance, like Sugar, like The Studio, making movies like Killers of the Flower Moon, and then F1 later this year. Like, yeah, I'm all for that. So keep doing it.
Yeah, this is just a really fun show though. Like this
Yes.
episode, I thought the premise is super fun. Like you said, I really do like the fact that it's just like an episode of the week sort of thing. I don't really care if they're going to develop any of the characters really. That's not what the show is about to me. It's more of
Yeah.
like a sitcom style show where we get little bits of development here and there, but mostly it's like you just know who these guys are already. And you don't have to really develop like a big emotional arc for Seth Rogen's character. It just doesn't feel like that kind of show, and I'm glad I'm glad it feels that way.
I just want to see him continue to progress as a producer and like get smarter in the role and show him wheeling and dealing a bit, and
Yeah.
have him still be, I can go with different episodes, but I do want him to be the central focus of it and see the progression of like, I don't want him to be crappy at the job still in season 2. I want
Hmm.
him to like start making moves and winning an Oscar, and they showed stuff like
Right.
that in the trailers, but I want to see his vision for the studio actually come true, because I like Matt as a character. Like, he's a dorky, funny guy, but it feels like if like one of us got a studio head position, like, oh, I love this, like we're just greenlighting things and we're gonna change the industry. And
Uh-huh.
people trust him. People come to him to make film, not just to make digital cinema. So,
Right.
he can't smut his name around Hollywood. And I thought it was really fun. I think Olivia Wilde was a fun guest star, and Zac Efron as well.
Yeah.
Didn't Olivia Wilde have trouble on the set of Don't Worry, Darling?
Oh, yeah,
So,
famously.
right. So I was like, what a funny way for her to like,
Uh-huh.
it's not at all her commentating on that at all, but it's like the show around her
Well, she
commenting on
is
that.
commenting on it though by being in it, by putting
Right,
herself
right.
in it and being like, "Yeah, I know.
I
I
love
know
that.
there's some things been said about me."
Well, and Efron like, she's gone full Fincher. I
Yeah.
love that line, and him just be, everybody hates her. Like, she's miserable. The only thing she liked was her own cameo in the movie, and
Uh-huh.
it was good, but
It's
it's
like I
just,
do admit it, the cameo
yeah,
was
yeah.
fucking great.
And it's great that the only thing, like, the piece of film that she lost is the one with all the producers' notes on it. Like, oh, your notes were so
Uh-huh.
good, Matt, but it was the great take with all your great suggestions. It's just gone.
Yeah.
And I love that, because you know exactly where it's going from there. I felt the whole time like it's a wild goose chase to get back to Olivia Wilde. You could kind of tell it, but also I wasn't mad at it for being that obvious because it was just fun. It led us on a fun goose chase.
Yeah, I just like how smart and in on the joke this show is always. Like just
Yeah.
starting off opening scene when he's talking about, I love film. You just like nothing like shooting on film. I'm single handedly I'm bringing film back, and
Right.
then the
Right.
projectionist is like, I fucking hate film.
Yeah.
I have to come do all this shit for you. Like digital, I just push a button.
I'm gonna watch all of it. I want to watch everything
Yeah,
from
how
today.
many of these
Like,
reels are we watching? We're watching it all tonight.
yeah.
And then of course the whole premise of the episode is a reel of film goes missing, and obviously you wouldn't have that problem on digital. So
Yeah.
it's just so in on the joke. It's so funny. And it just is like stuff like this that keeps me engaged in this show. Like I'm just locked in on all levels, like how funny it is,
Yeah.
how it looks, the writing, acting, everything. It's a great show.
I like the noir plot for this week and all
Mm-hmm.
the homage that it pays, especially to Chinatown. Like it just says it straight up.
Right.
Uh, this might be probably out of all the movies we've heard about on the show, this might be like my number two behind Scorsese's Kool-Aid movie.
Uh-huh.
I think this might be, even though like I'm not in love with Olivia Wilde as a director, but
I think she made some good stuff.
I think the
Book smart.
Chinatown rip-off movie with starring Zac Efron.
Yeah.
Um, I'd
No, I
have a
would
good
definitely
time
want
with
to see
that.
that.
So
Yeah.
I'd want to see that movie. I loved the set that they were walking around as well. I think the set was very involved this episode. And the tracking shots of
Uh-huh.
Matt Remick walking around the set, showing you the whole location, right in downtown LA. And I just really liked the whole setup of the episode. I mean, how else do you say it? The whole episode's great. I think the voice notes are going to come back into play. Him taking all the voice notes on his phone.
Okay.
I think in like episode 7 or 8, it's gonna be somebody finding the voice notes and he's like freaking out on the voice notes, like, I don't know what I'm doing with my job. Da, da, da.
Mm,
I'm sure it's gonna get out, right? Like that just seems like something that's going on at WB right now, where we know way too much about the actual studio from like the head and things that he probably shouldn't have said.
yeah.
I think Matt Remick's voice notes are gonna get out to the public or to someone in the studio to create some pandemonium later in the season.
Okay. Yeah, I like that. I do wonder kind of if where the season's going to end, how they're going to end it. How many more episodes do we have? Do you know how
No
long the
clue.
season is?
No
It's like
clue.
a 10
No.
episode season. I got to look that up. But
Yeah.
anyways, I think it'll probably go at
I'll
least
be
like
there
8 to
every
10
week. It can be a
episodes.
50 episode season. I'll be there
Oh
every
yeah.
week if it's quality like this.
Well,
So
this also feels like a show that could actually sustain
just
like
run.
a 15 to 20 season or episode season, you know?
Yeah.
Like it feels like it's built that way.
Yeah.
So, that would be fun, but
And
yeah.
because it can give itself an arc and I'd be interested enough still. Or it can just be the one-off episodes every week, freak of the week type episode, and I'd be bought into that too. So the show has given itself a lot of cards to play with, and if they keep pulling in these celebrities for cameos too, like I'm a sucker for that. I loved Anthony Mackie. Ron Howard was great. Scorsese being in your first episode, and now Olivia Wilde and Efron. Like it's just been so much fun to see them all be again in on the joke.
Yep. Yeah. Any final thoughts here on the studio before we move on to Warfare?
Just love it. Love
Yeah,
it.
same. Just love it. Great TV show. Probably one of the best shows I've seen in a long time, honestly. It
Yeah.
also feels like it's built for us. So we
Some of
are
my
probably in on
favorite
it a little
set
more than others.
pieces
But
ever in television. Some of my favorite set design ever.
yeah. Look forward to it every week. We got a new episode
Yes.
tomorrow, so that'll be fun.
There we go.
Moving on to something that has nothing to do with the studio at all, but I saw the film Warfare the other day. Co-written and directed by Alex Garland, our one of our guys, I would say, one of our filmmakers who
Absolutely.
we
Yeah.
definitely love.
Go-tos.
Co-written, co-directed by Alex Garland and Ray Mendoza, who consulted on Civil War with Alex Garland and doesn't really have many other credits to speak of in Hollywood besides that, but he's also an Iraq war veteran. So he brought a lot of stuff to this movie. Like when the movie starts with a title card that says that this is based solely on the memories of Iraq war veterans that were on this specific mission, like
Wow.
the events that are portrayed in this movie. And I don't know what any of this stuff is really like. Obviously, I've never been to war, been in the military, but this feels like probably the most accurate and realistic depiction of like warfare, of military combat that I've ever seen. I mean, Saving Private Ryan, obviously the opening scene there, the Normandy scene gets that reputation a lot, but this is like
Yeah.
totally different. That is like a Spielberg movie, right? That's
It's a movie.
it's a movie, and I'm
Yeah.
talking about that specific scene in the movie. Even it's we don't have to talk about the invasion of D-Day, but just comparing it to Warfare is this movie feels so real.
Yeah.
Like every second is like you just feel like you are like this is just what really happened, and that's how the story's told. It's
Yeah.
not it's not dramatized at all. There's no like real character development. There's no one going on a crazy hero streak and killing a bunch of bad guys.
Yeah.
There's none of that, right? It's
Yeah.
literally just this shit happened to us. Like we got caught in
Yeah.
this fucked up situation and we had to just figure out how to get out of it. And it's very like beat by beat. It doesn't feel like there's not like time jumps or there's no real like traditional kind of Hollywood tricks to kind of make it feel more dramatic or add tension where it shouldn't be. It just like plays out like it probably did
Yeah.
more or less in real life. And it's great. I mean, it looks great. It sounds great. You get these scenes where a couple times they'll call in a show of force from a fighter jet because they don't want to actually have like an airstrike because they're too close. But the fighter
Yeah.
jet just like flies super low over all the buildings, and they do it like 3 times, and every time it just looks and sounds like so fucking
I
awesome.
bet. I bet.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, it's not stylized at all. It almost doesn't feel like an Alex Garland film because his movies have such a unique look, like
Yeah.
visually. They look great and they just are very like slow and methodical and you can tell Alex Garland obviously takes a lot of there's a lot of attention to detail and the
Yeah.
colors and the cinematography and all the setups and everything in his movies. This movie doesn't feel like anti that, but it definitely doesn't fit in like with his other movies, even like Civil War. The cinematography, the colors, the compositions in that movie are like some of the best we saw all of last year.
Yeah.
And this movie's just not designed that way because it's not trying to be anything more than like hyper real. And it's really good. I think I gave it 3.5 stars on Letterboxd. I knocked it down a bit just because there isn't really a plot here.
Yeah.
But that also is like what is working towards the movie strength. That's what the movie is trying to do. So it's really worth your time if you
It
like war
accomplishes
films.
its goal.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It totally accomplishes the goal. If you saw the trailer for this movie, you basically saw the movie. Like
Yeah.
you know what this movie is going to be based on the trailer, and I really appreciate that going in. So
Yeah.
if you like war films, anything in this realm, I would definitely give this a look. It's really good.
If I ever get to a city where movies play,
Yeah.
it would be awesome because like I love Alex Garland. I think I talked so much about Civil War and its sound design, how much I loved it. I rewatched Civil War in anticipation for Warfare, which is not playing, but I still watched it in anticipation. And again, that movie has such a unique sound design. And you said this one's totally different, but I think I can still expect that feeling that Civil War gave me, where it just felt like, yeah, this is the situation. Like unquestionably, this is the situation. Even if it's a Civil War in America, he plays it so straight to you as a director. Like this is exactly where we are. This is a story we want to tell. There's not going to be, Annihilation has its huge twists. Ex Machina has twists in it, but I think Civil War was very straightforward. It did have a narrative, but it was told to you the way it wanted to be told, and that's what's I think is so cool about Alex Garland is he's going to tell you the story that he wants to tell. Um, I think it's funny every couple years we get something. I remember like Act of Valor coming out when I was in like middle school, and that was supposed to be the definitive war movie. You hear about Black Hawk Down, about Saving Private Ryan, even All Quiet on the Western Front in a whole different era. But each movie has its narrative, and I think it's really cool what you said. Like we're still uncovering layers in war films because it's something that needs to be told on screen, but you have to tell it with a narrative, right? Like even American Sniper, it's a biography about the guy, and it might be real, but it's that guy's experience, and it's about Chris Kyle.
Well, there's
And I
also
think
been a lot of stuff said about American Sniper lately that
right,
like debunks a lot of what they said was real about that movie. But
right.
yeah,
And I
there's
think
you
what's
could
cool
not do
about
that to
this one
this
is you
movie at
say
all.
like you might forget some characters' names, you might not have an introduction or much like exposition in the movie. It's just situation.
Exactly.
And I think that's really interesting. I think kind of the trailer actually reminded me of like the shootout in Sicario on the border
Uh-huh.
because I think violence wasn't played up in that scene. It was very like no, it was one shot to the head and the guy's
Hmm.
dead. And it's not it's a badass scene and it's an intense scene, but it's not meant to be badass. It's meant to show you like how quick these things happen and how life or death decisions are made every single day. And I think like respect to the veterans that contributed to this movie. Ray Mendoza, I'm excited to see this movie. I think Ray Mendoza has a really cool future ahead of him. I wonder if he's going to keep doing war type movies or if he might branch out even. Because as much as he has told movies just about war right now, I think he's a good storyteller already. Like we can feel that. And so Garland will buy in anytime, but I'm really keen to see where Ray Mendoza goes after this.
Yeah, this movie really does play like a B-side to Civil War. I saw someone make that comment, I think, in a review after I saw the movie, and I think it totally fits to describe this movie. There's like
Yeah,
there's some connective tissue there, and I think it has a sort of same point of view that Civil War has,
the DNA.
where it's just not projecting like a point of view onto you. Like the film is not
Yeah,
telling you how to feel about it. You know, something as complicated as a movie about a second American Civil War. Some people didn't like Civil War because it didn't take a strong stance on like these are the good guys, these are the bad
right.
guys. This is, who you're supposed to be cheering for. It doesn't really take that point of view, and I thought that was a really cool thing to do because I think you could easily get lost in like trying to force a narrative onto an audience in a movie as inherently political as Civil War. Um, and
Yeah,
Warfare is the same way. Warfare is the same way in the fact that it doesn't try to make these guys out to be heroes. Some of the stuff they do, like the main thing they do is they occupy this Iraqi family's house in order to do like surveillance, and then they get ambushed in that house. So then this family's like stuck in the house with them, and the movie just presents that to you. It doesn't really like make these guys out to be assholes for doing it necessarily, but you definitely are supposed to understand. Like you come away with the feeling that dang, that really sucked for those people who got stuck in this terrible
yeah.
situation. But it doesn't present anyone as a hero or a villain. I mean, we're so
They're
obviously we
people. They're
right,
people.
right.
Yeah,
Obviously, we are with the
their
American soldiers,
perspective.
so we see the jihadis as the enemy, right? Like it goes that
Yeah,
far, but that's
yeah,
about it. There's no real point of view here for something again like political, like the war in Iraq, where people have a lot of feelings about that, and rightfully so.
yeah,
And this movie doesn't really wade into any of that, and I think it's better for the movie because it doesn't get into the whole reason of why are we there, why are we doing any of this. It's just we are soldiers, we have orders that we need to carry out. This is what we need to do. We don't ask why or how or any extenuating circumstances. We just do the mission, and I think this movie really works because of that.
yeah. I rewatched Civil War again, and you get to the Plemons scene, which is the scene in the movie,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like the basically the climax of the movie to me is that scene, even though the climax comes right after it. And you kind of know where Jesse Plemons' character lies there, like what kind of person he is, maybe, but you don't
Uh-huh.
know what side he's really on and what like if somebody different came to him how he'd treat them either. Like he's on his own side there, and they're not telling you. They're obviously telling you he's a villain in that moment, but he's very much just a scary person. It's not like, oh, here's this bad guy. It's more like, oh, here's the worst of humanity when we get to these kind of situations. And I think he'd take any side that matters for him in that moment, to get his weird little agenda that he has in his head across. And so that's just such a cool approach. Like movies always tell you how to feel or have a message behind them or have this bigger thing behind them. And it's interesting to, you see a Civil War movie or you see this warfare movie where they talk about like it's a Civil War movie, but it doesn't take a side. You're like, yeah, okay. And then you watch it and it truly doesn't.
Mm-hmm.
And still on rewatch, it truly does not. And I think it's cool to just tell stories as they are, from a very overhead narrator point of view. Even when we're doing it through characters, you can still keep that perspective. I'm sure it's incredibly challenging. Um, and it's so cool that the attempt has been very successful from Garland and from Ray Mendoza. That this is something that really we don't get many movies like this, and it seems like they're two for two at this point. So that's
Yeah.
a pretty cool feat for them.
Yeah, it's interesting to see Garland kind of moving in this direction of storytelling because all of his past movies have been really high concept and
Yeah,
they're very written, like they have very dense narratives. And there's
yeah,
a lot to unpack there on second, third, fourth rewatch. Civil
Oh
War has
yeah.
the same thing. There's a lot to unpack there too, but kind of it's told in a very like disconnected way
Yeah.
compared to his other movies. And all the movies he's written, right? Like Sunshine, 28 Days Later, like all of his movies seem to really have like strong narratives. And so
Yeah.
these past two movies haven't so much, and it's just
It's
been kind
written
of
with no
interesting.
agenda, no
Hmm.
agenda whatsoever, it feels like, which obviously there probably is when he's writing it, but it doesn't portray on screen, which is amazing. That's an amazing accomplishment as a writer. And that we do like the movies. Like
Yeah.
that's very impressive. I'm still impressed by it.
Yeah, the last thing I want to say about this movie is it, like I said, it plays as a good B-side to Civil War, and I think this
Yeah.
is a really good double feature to do with Civil War when it eventually comes out on Blu-ray. It'd be really cool to see A24 if they want to, if they want to do like a combo pack with Civil War and
Yeah.
Warfare, the Alex Garland War trilogy or duology, I guess at this point.
Yeah.
Maybe he will make a third one, but
Right.
yeah, that would be really cool. That'd be something that I would definitely buy. Like it would make sense. Like it plays as a very good like B-side, like I said, like
Okay.
a cool double feature with Civil War.
Cool.
But
I'm fine with that.
that's all I've got there. So do you want to lead us into our next thing we're going to talk about, the Superman trailer here?
Yeah, the Superman trailer and the Superman discourse. I think I've talked about it a couple times where I think this movie is just bound to rip some people apart. But I absolutely loved the 2 minute clip that came out from Superman. It was basically leaked about a week or so ago from some theater testing type viewing. Uh, and James Gunn and Warner Brothers just put it right out. And I love that sort of
I
transparency
think it
from
was at
them.
CinemaCon. It played at CinemaCon first.
Yeah. And I think the clip all in all shows that you said it, like it's a James Gunn Superman movie. But that might be what we need at this time. And I think it's
Sure.
a very different approach while keeping the same core values that Superman always needs to possess. So I was bought into it. I think it looks like it's well filmed. It looks like it has a lot of heart behind it. And I think the internet needs to chill the fuck out in general
Well,
when talking about this movie.
people are always gonna find shit to complain about, especially with something as like divisive as Superman has become. The
Yeah,
character
yeah.
kind of weird to say, but it definitely there's a lot of different opinions on Superman, especially since Man of Steel. I think that kind of started it, and so at least in my recent memory, so
I think
people
we're
are
in a
gonna be mad no
time
matter what.
where like Superman almost does more harm than good when he comes out in media, and it's because like there can't be a character that's just that pure and that good for the sake of being good. And I think it's what we need as like just whatever you think of what's going on in the world right now, it's a crazy ass world, and we hear all of it. Whether you're on one side, on the other side, in the middle, whatever, you hear all of it. You hear all the negative, you hear all the positive, you interpret it your own way. And I think it's important to have a character that just stands for good and who we can strive to be. And maybe our world just isn't ready for that character. And I think a lot of people have meanings of what Superman means to them. Um, and that makes the character more divisive because there's the Snyder cult at this point. It really has turned into
Yeah,
the Snyder cult. And I'm bummed out because I think we were both big fans of the Zack Snyder's Justice League.
yeah,
And I think the biggest mistake they did was calling it Zack Snyder's Justice League. Because I think that just gave the fans that were not excited for it in a positive way more excuse to be rude about this new Superman movie. Like, guys, it's over. I'm sorry, we got our Justice League
the
movie.
Snyder thing is
The
done.
battle is won.
It's
We
never coming
won.
back. Yeah,
We absolutely
exactly.
won the battle. I was a part of the side of,
That was the good
I was
ending.
that was the very good ending. So like let's reset. And if you say you love this character so much, then give it a chance. And
Hmm.
you don't have to like it after you see the movie, but just chill out. Like it's a 2 minute clip. Even if you didn't like it at this point, I don't think it's gonna ruin the whole movie for you. There are plenty of scenes that I don't like in movies that I think are great. And even because I love this 2 minutes, I might not like the movie.
Right.
Um, I think it's an interesting approach to the character. I think in the 2 minutes, it nails the purity in Superman that makes Superman who he is. And so I really hope that the world is at a place where it can accept Superman because I think
The
I'm
world
serious.
needs
Like
Superman.
the world needs Superman. Like it's a character that, like you've said, and he's inherently divisive at this point. And we just need like a win. We need something good, and we deserve to like this movie. Like everybody should want to like this movie. And so I'm so confused that people are using a 2 minute trailer to push an agenda that it's a crappy movie.
Well, I think it's a
Um,
loud minority too. I think it's
oh,
just the
very
Snyder
much
fans,
so.
just people
Yeah.
that are making a lot of noise on Twitter or whatever that are saying they don't like this, but believe me, this will be a very crowd pleasing movie, generally speaking, when it comes out.
Yeah.
The families, every kids, everyone's going to go see this movie. And I think it will do well. I think it'll make a decent amount of money, 500 million, 700 million, even for Warner Brothers, maybe even more. Maybe it could be $1 billion movie.
Dude, James Gunn hasn't missed.
No, exactly.
He has
James Gunn's,
not.
he hasn't made a bad movie in a long time. Like since there was a movie 43 or whatever, he co-directed that or
Oh,
wrote it or
Jesus.
whatever. But recent James Gunn is the past 10, 15 years, he's always made good shit. And this, like I said, this does look like a James Gunn Superman movie. That's what this clip said to me. Is it's in the
Yeah.
exact same vein as a Guardians of the Galaxy, as a Suicide Squad style movie. As far as the humor goes, not like as like crass and graphic as Suicide Squad, obviously, but in that James Gunn tone that we've come to know so well. With the dog kind of like jumping all over him and being an
Yeah.
asshole, and the robots talking to
Crypto,
him, and
crypto, stop.
I felt like this was like the clip went on for a while. Like when I was
Yeah,
watching, I was like,
it was
shit, we're
cool to see
seeing
a
a
bit of
lot of
it.
this.
Yeah.
We're seeing like a whole like scene play out. So kind of
We
cool.
gathered a tone. We very much did. I can formulate my opinion on the tone from it.
Yeah.
Not the whole product, but I think the tone especially
And I think that was the
we saw
point
it.
of putting this out, is to kind of get you ready for what kind of movie this is going to be. And I
Yeah.
think that it was successful. So I'm nothing but excited for this movie. I think it's going to be good. I think it's going to do very well, and I'm expecting to enjoy it.
Well, in a Superman trailer, like it has to be grandiose. It has to be Superman. It has to be all these things. And I think that's like the weird expectation we put on the character from the trailer to the movie to everything. And Superman's inherently very silly and like should be fun and should be like loved and full of, you know, pure passion and like the color. I don't know. I think of like the color gold on the inside of someone, right? Like it's just so pure to its core of what Superman is. Like he gets healed by the sun, like that's the kind of character we're talking about. Like I think general audiences, I hope they can accept, like, I saw somebody getting upset about he's getting healed by the sun, but he's yelling. Like, is healing
Well,
always
that's just
is
stupid. People are
healing
just finding
always
random
good?
shit to
Like
complain about.
healing can be painful,
Yeah.
and like and then the robot said they have no personalities, but then the other one had a personality. Like, oh my gosh, things have different like thoughts, even down to robots. Like, not everything you see on screen is always a fact. Oh, okay. So
Yeah.
that's the kind of stuff that makes me like just a little bit upset. Like, why are you nitpicking at just the dumbest shit? Like, and you're making yourself look like a worse audience member and a worse, just reviewer or person or whoever you are. Like, you're trying to find every little thing that's negative that hard. Like, this is not the Green Lantern. We don't need to do that. We don't need to, it's not, even if you think it's bad, like there's no way the movie's going to be that bad, right? So we don't need to push it to that territory. Um, I'm kind of ready for like some Last Jedi type discourse, but that's okay because I like The Last Jedi. I don't love it. I understand why people have their gripes with it, but I'm just ready to like Superman. I hope it gives me a good surprise. I think James Gunn is the right choice. I like everything he's said about the movie and the character and what it means to him. Adapting All-Star Superman is a swing. Um, but it's very funny, like when people say it's not Superman, and then you can like find the comic page that it's based off of, and it's like, okay, then what is Superman to you? Because this is this scene is ripped. Besides the crypto stuff a little bit, the scene is ripped from the comics, and the crypto stuff is James Gunn injecting his own personal
Right. He loves
thing into the
animals.
movie. He's doing his little Ron Howard thing from
Uh-huh.
the studio. He's putting his personal dog in there basically,
Uh-huh.
but I think like that's the type of heart we need injected into the movie. Like we need more heart and care and love, and like you can see that there is a lot of love for Superman in just those 2 minutes, and so I'm just I know like going down this path and looking at all the bad stuff is only going to make me mad at the end of the day, and these people are still going to be miserable. Um, but I did want to just say my piece about it. I'm excited for the movie. I really liked the 2 minutes that we saw. And again, I can't say James Gunn enough about him. Like I think he is the right choice, and I'm not the biggest fan of the Guardians trilogy. I'm not the biggest fan of the Suicide Squad, but I think he does know what he's doing, and uh, he knows what he's doing when it comes to comics, especially. Like he's not just some dumb director who failed his way up into Superman. Like he's gonna figure it out. He's gonna make some cool moments for us. So I'm ready.
Yeah, I think if you saw that clip and you didn't like it, you had like you really did not like it, then this movie is just not for you, and you should just go
Yep.
watch Man of Steel or
Yep.
in BVS and just have that because that's
Yeah.
obviously what you want. But if you're open to a new version of Superman, not even that new, but just different from the previous version, then I think this is going to be a really really fun movie this summer. So can't wait to see it. You want to just lead us into our next thing here? Talk about the Batman 2 and what we've got going on
Yeah.
there.
Another fun movie that we might see at some point. I think there's been a lot of news the last couple weeks from very different and varying sources about the Batman 2, about its script not being complete, about Pattinson giving the quote that maybe he's finally seeing the vision for the movie. Pattinson also being shopped for Dune Messiah, which is supposed to be filming around the same time as Batman. So that's kind of interesting that Warner Brothers will be doing that. Maybe there's been speculation, maybe they're throwing Pattinson a bone because they know Batman's going to be delayed for a while. There's been speculation about Matt Reeves' health. Whatever the speculation is, or whatever truth there may be to Matt Reeves' health, I think we both just agree like we hope he's healthy, right? We don't want to sit here and talk about the different rumors or this and that. I hope Matt Reeves is super healthy. I think he's a nothing short of a genius and brought this world to life so well in the Batman and then in the Penguin show being an EP on that. Um, I'm okay waiting at this point. If we're already waiting at this point, so I'm okay with waiting for whatever Matt Reeves has going on and having him be the director. I don't think it should be handed off.
No,
Um, I just really hope we get this movie. I hope that it's not truth to them trying to interject this with the Superman stuff or see how Superman does, and then they might greenlight Batman. Like this should be a no-brainer greenlight. I'm okay with having two Batmen, one in one universe and one in the other.
well,
Um,
they're still working on the new version of the
right.
DCU version of Batman, anyways. Nothing is confirmed there. We already have an established version of Batman who everyone loved. Like
Yeah.
this movie was like across the board, Batman fans, movie fans, everyone fucking loved that movie. Made a lot of money for Warner Brothers. It was like everything just seemed like obviously we're gonna make a sequel to this. This was a great movie. This is gonna be a universe. I think it was talked about as a trilogy when the first one came out. So it's definitely really disappointing to see that we're in 2025 and we still have like we're not even shooting this
Yeah.
movie yet.
And
So
it was supposed to come
it's
out in
crazy.
2021 initially too. Like it
Uh-huh.
was written for a long time by Reeves, and I think like I don't want to express frustration with him, especially with some of the speculation that's going on, but it's like Matt, dude, I know you take a long time with your script, but did you have a plan for the second movie? Like that's what you kind of worry about. I'm not worried about the product, and I think once we in 2 years when we see the trailer finally,
Right.
I think all that speculation will die down, right? I think he'll shut us all up and remind us how great of a writer he is in this universe. Um, but this would be such a loss if it didn't capitalize off of the great first movie, the great Penguin show. I think this is one, we talk about the Superman discourse. The Batman had a ton of discourse and a ton of people sitting inside being able to discourse about it during COVID and all this stuff. And I think the movie came out and those haters just got silenced. And either they turned and said the movie was great or they're still hating and people don't really care because their opinion is just so invalid because the product on screen was just incredible. So I don't I don't have much speculation on where the movie's going to go. I've heard Clayface, I've heard Mr. Freeze, I've heard a bunch of stuff with like
Court of
No Man's
Owls.
Land, Court of Owls, the city flooding. I just want to see a second movie, and I
Yeah.
think I trust Matt Reeves fully to deliver that second movie in whichever state he wants it to be in, because he will. I know he will put out a final product that is polished. From Cloverfield to the Apes movies to the Batman, he's always put out a final product that improves upon the last one and gives us something new at the same time. So just hoping for good news from him, hoping for great news from Warner Brothers, hoping that we can just get some clarity on it. I think they've been really they don't owe us a damn thing, but I like that they've been really transparent about some of the stuff they've been doing in their universe with saying like Batman will be separate. We really like Matt Reeves. Mike Flanagan came to us with a Clayface movie. We weren't planning on making a Clayface movie, but he came to us with a script. We really liked it.
Yeah.
The Authority taking longer than we expected. No worries though, it's still going to happen just in the developing stages. Like, okay, cool. And I just kind of want one of those quotes for the Batman Part 2, like, hey, where are we really at right now? Because the more news that comes out, the more it seems like, man, are we going to get this by 2030? Like, and I don't want to push a panic button, but it's just, it seems like there's no light at the end of the tunnel here.
Yeah, and it's just weird that Warner Brothers isn't fast tracking this movie because it seems like obviously you would. I mean, they're all about
Yeah,
making money. David Zaslav has said that he wants to make IP movies. What's bigger IP than Batman, especially for Warner Brothers? Like it's like
there's
the
none.
biggest
Yeah,
thing they own. So why this movie hasn't even, we doesn't even have a finished script yet is beyond me. That kind of I think is leading people into the speculation realm of is something wrong with Matt Reeves? What's going on here? So yeah, we'll just have to stay tuned and see what happens. We'll get an update at some point. So we just have no idea
yeah.
when.
Just stick in there. Matt Reeves, we hope you're doing well. Warner Brothers, make the right decision.
Yeah.
That's it. Make the right
Yep.
decision.
Moving on to The Last of Us. This is another Warner Brothers property, actually. The Last of Us
Yeah.
season 2. I think we both really enjoyed the first season. At least I personally
Yes.
really,
Yeah.
really enjoyed the first season. You've played both games. I've played part 1 and I've played about halfway through part 2. Um, and I played halfway through part 2 a couple years ago at this point. So I remember kind of up to
Didn't
where I
you played
got.
it during the first season, right? I
I think
thought,
I,
or
I was
no?
playing it. Yeah, I think I was playing it when the first season was coming out. I was playing
Yeah.
part 2. And then a little bit I think after that. So yeah, I haven't finished part 2, so I don't know where the story ends. I don't think I'm not definitely not going to finish the game before I finish this season. I haven't played, I haven't made any progress on that game in like a couple of years. So I don't know if I'll ever finish it.
Yeah.
But obviously, this first episode of season 2 followed pretty much every beat that you get through, like in the first whatever half hour or so of the game. It's that's what I've really liked about the first season of the show and this show and the second season so far with one episode out is it's very faithful to the games. I think it's really
Yeah.
cool how, obviously things get changed and added and little things here and there, but the overarching narrative is following the games pretty strictly. And I think it's working because those are great, great video games.
And they know when to interject as well, I think, and tell little new things or like throw a change up at us. Like we've
Uh-huh.
seen the Dina scene with Ellie, like we've played that scene when they throw the bottle
Uh-huh.
and kill
Exactly.
the clickers, but we played that scene, but we played it differently, right?
Uh-huh.
And so I like that those are the scenes that they're changing because that's the gameplay.
Yeah,
And
I think when
so
she grabs the bottle, it shows the shot
yeah,
of the bottle.
yeah,
It's like just totally
I've done
being like,
just that.
remember this, remember
Bottles and
playing with
bricks,
that.
man.
Uh
That's
huh.
it. Um, and I think like it's funny. There's been so much again discourse about this before the season, but Craig Mazin knows what he's doing, man. Like
Yeah.
this dude is a show runner. Like he made Mayor of Easttown. He ran the first season of Last of Us, and now going into Last of Us 2. I really like. I watched a little interview with him today. My favorite quote from him was like, "We're doing all the cutscenes now. Like we're not doing any of the gameplay, any of that. We're so." He was talking about how he chooses what to fill in with the stuff like the
Mhm.
council being there and
Right.
these different things that they're pulling out, and it only builds from the game. It doesn't disgrace the game. And then I think there's scenes like the scene with Dina and Ellie at the public dance where
Uh
that's
huh.
ripped straight from the game, straight from the game. And I love that he's doing that, ripping straight from the game while also interjecting his own stuff in there, and it just fits like a glove. Like it feels like the story, as much as I've played the games, like it feels like the story hasn't been told and it's just being told again in the right way again. Um, so yeah, we're getting to the divisive game here with part 2. But I think they're going to do a good job with it. Like I really think I have faith in Craig Mazin. I think they're going to stick the landing a little better on some things that are coming up eventually, maybe at some point. And I
Well, do we want to talk about that or do we want to
no, I
get
just
into, do you want to, are we going to talk about what we know is going to happen
Doesn't
later
doesn't
on.
everyone know at this point? Like I feel like I know there's a huge audience. Like I know my dad has played the first game. I know he's gonna play the second game as the second season comes out. Like he
Mhm.
likes that part of it too, and seeing exactly what's different. But I know there's a huge audience of people that watched the second or the first season of the show without playing the games.
Yeah, like I
Um,
was talking to Braden today, my roommate, and I told him that I was watching season two. He hadn't seen season one, and I was just saying, yeah, the games were so good, and he didn't even know they were based on video games. So I think some people that know
right.
about the show don't just know it as the show. So
It's funny how huge because video games are huge, man, huge industry, but they're also so niche at the same
exactly,
time. Like they just
yeah,
because movies like movies might even be smaller than video games, but movies touches everyone. Like everyone sees the clips, everyone sees this, everyone sees that. Whereas games, like the people they don't touch, they just don't touch. It doesn't affect those people at all that don't play video games or, like, are you on the PS4 or the PS5? Like they have no clue, So it's pretty funny how much of an audience this is captured outside of the games.
well, I
And I
think
was
that
gonna say
speaks
we
to the
can
quality of it. I think that's
exactly.
because if it was bad, no one would be watching this. And the fact
Yeah.
that it's got the first season had so much good word of mouth, people got into it even after like the third, fourth episode. The word of mouth built to the point where I think it got a lot of viewers on, like as it built week to week. So, I think I don't know if you haven't seen the first season yet. What are you doing? Like if you like TV,
Right.
like dramas,
Right.
really cool dramas on TV, like Last of Us is up there for sure.
It's really great. I think just HBO in general, like life's better when an HBO show's on Sundays,
Yeah.
right? Like that just it just fits. It fits
Hmm.
on that Sunday night. I feel like I always have time for it too. Like the studio every now and then I'm watching an episode a day late, but HBO Sundays are HBO Sundays, man. Like you're watching it that night. It's like a religious experience on Sunday night. So I thought it was one thing that I wanted to say if we want to get into it, we can
I think we
but
should not. Let's just talk about this
okay.
episode and
I just
not
think it was
talk about where it's
funny
going to go.
that it premiered on the Masters weekend as well. I was thinking about that, because we're going golfing eventually in the show.
Hmm.
But I thought it was funny that it premiered on Masters weekend.
Forgot about that.
Very, very on brand. I thought of that last night and I was like, oh, I got to write this down. This was uh, coincidence? I don't know. If you played the games, I think there's a lot of people that are talking about Bella Ramsey. Um, Girl can act, man. She's a good actor. I
Hmm.
totally get. I don't like the criticism of like she's not like this girl's ugly. It's like
Yeah.
okay, like come on, that's just so rude, and that makes you look like a weirdo. Like you're
Uh
attracted to Ellie, you sick,
huh.
but
She's like
whatever,
14 in the first
right?
game.
And she's 19 in the second game, so whatever. Some weirdo can defend themselves in that. But I think that's just a horrible criticism of Bella Ramsey. I totally get the criticism, however, that she does not feel like a 19-year-old Ellie. Like I
Yeah.
totally get that.
Well,
She
she
does
feels like the
feel
same to me. She feels like
she
exactly the
feels
same from the first
yeah,
season.
you don't feel the 5 years in her.
No, I don't
You
think
feel
so.
the characters changed a bit. You feel it in Joel even. Like you feel the 5 years,
Uh
but
huh.
I would have been, and this is nothing against Bella Ramsey because I think she really is giving a great performance. I think she's getting enough bullshit thrown her way on media right now, which is obscene to me. But I think it might have been time for like a Kaylee Spaney recast for season two. I wouldn't have minded
To
that.
like to
Um,
like make it feel like the character actually changed, like the time jump.
yeah, yeah, and
I
just
don't think you could do that
and I
though.
think it's
There's
hard.
no
Like
way.
Kaylee Spaney looks as close to Ellie as a human being does, besides like Ellen Page, who Ellie was based off of at the time, or Elliot Page now at the time. And Kaylee Spaney is just kind of sitting right there, and it's just like, oh yeah, that's a good choice, and that's what I think like kind of sucks for some fans, where it's like, oh,
But I
that's
don't
your
think you
Ellie
can you could
right
not
there.
recast that character to
But
the first or second season because it wouldn't feel like the
yeah,
same character at all. It wouldn't
yeah,
make sense. It would
and
not make
so
sense.
and so I agree with that too, where like I agree with both sides completely, and I don't agree with the toxicity coming from one side. But I agree, like, yeah, she doesn't seem like a 19-year-old and she doesn't feel that 5 year time jump. But also, like, Bella Ramsey gave a great performance, and it would be jarring to the people who watched season one and didn't know the
Exactly.
games as well. So we got to think of a lot of people, and I think there's a lot of them that came to the show for the show and are staying with the show. So we got to take them in mind too. So we got what we got, and let that be the end of the discourse. All in all, to me, it's like that's the only piece I want to say about it. I think she gave a really good performance in episode one. I'm really curious to see between her and Joel where they progress because they're showing us that discourse that we know all too well from the games. Um, and Pedro Pascal plays a really good distant father in Joel. I think he's another one that gets picked at sometimes, like, oh, he's in everything. Like, there's a reason. He's a damn good actor.
Yeah, he's great in
I,
this episode.
he has more chops than just being a side character or a little charismatic star. Like, he has real acting chops. Um, and so I like seeing him as Joel. I like them adding the therapy. Catherine O'Hara seems to pop up. I could have sworn she's in like season one. Like she just seems like she's one of those people that
Uh-huh.
just pops up everywhere nowadays.
Well,
And
who was she talking about? Her husband? I forgot
well,
about
he was
that.
he was killed off screen, right? So
So
he was
Joel
killed a
killed her
year
husband
ago.
off screen.
I guess so. He was killed a year ago on the 5-year jump. I'm sure we might see that.
Huh,
Um,
interesting.
I don't think
I
that's in the
thought she was
games from
referencing
what I
something
remember.
in originally I thought she was referencing like she was saying that her husband was one of like the doctors in the
Well,
hospital that Joe killed or
because
that Joel killed.
she said this is the first year without my husband,
Right.
and that was after the 5-year jump. So that's what I was looking at too. I was like, is he? And I think he's like a character that's written about in the games or like a photography in the games. Like
Uh-huh.
his presence is there, but he's not there. So
Kind of
interesting to add a little bit of layers to that.
like Nick Offerman's character, except he showed
Right,
up in the show, but in the game
right.
he's not really. He's referenced, but you don't see him.
Right. Right. I think you see Bill in the game. I think you see Nick Offerman, but his partner you don't see in the
Oh,
game.
is that what it is?
I think
Okay.
he just mentions like, yeah, the other guy that's
Right.
around
Okay.
here,
Yeah. Yeah.
and
Yeah.
oh, he's just not here anymore. And so
Uh-huh.
I think it's interesting, like throwing little stuff like that in there, build out the world. You've obviously got some time to fill in. They said they're going to make the second game into 2 seasons.
Uh-huh.
I don't know when we're going to get the big first act crescendo, whatever you want to call it, the
Uh-huh.
first act craziness.
I think maybe by
Um,
episode 3 is
so I think
probably when
like
that will happen.
I've seen like episode 2, I've heard episode 6. I don't
Well,
know.
episode
So
2 would be is like it's gonna be really funny to see the
yeah.
reactions of
Oh
people that
yeah.
don't know what's gonna
Yeah.
happen.
Yeah,
Like,
they're gonna lose it, man.
yeah, if it happens in
They're gonna
episode 2, it's
absolutely
gonna be
lose
like
it.
literally the second episode of the show. Something's gonna happen, and I
My
don't know. I don't want to say what it is because let's just get to it when we get to it. But
One of my dad's friends watches this show with us, and he was asking me like, I've heard the second game like isn't as well received, and he has no clue, right? No clue at all.
well, I think the
And I said,
gameplay in the second game is actually like far
much better.
superior, and
Yeah.
it looks
Oh, it's
better.
insane.
But I guess people
Yeah.
didn't like the story as much.
Yeah, and just the character shoes that it puts you in the second game, where
Hmm.
you don't like characters, but you have to play as them, and that's kind of a weird spot to be put in. I think that's going to translate better to screen too, because you're not playing them. You're watching them as a performance. And I think the second game is still well written. It's very well written.
Yeah,
It's just cream of the crop. Like it's Naughty Dog at their best. It's Druckmann at his best. They're doing what they do. They're making great characters in a great world. They just maybe didn't give it to us in the best way for a video game. And I think that's what the whole thing with The Last of Us was, is like, this is a show. Like, this game is a movie, it's a show. Even when, the first one came out in 2013, was that this has a higher class of writing attached to it. And so seeing it in this format is just really cool. And of course it's on HBO, right? Like, it
yeah,
has to be on the cream of the crop network with Craig Mazin running the show. I think Mark Mylod, another one of our like
yep.
go-to TV directors, is doing the next episode. So that's just awesome. That's great to hear. But I am curious. I was telling you, like, my dad's friend, he's like, I heard it's more divisive the second game. I'm like, yeah, yeah. And he's like, why is that? I said, well, there are some choices made. Some characters.
Yeah,
I said like some character choices. He's
yep.
like, oh, okay. Like, so I am curious to see the reception from people. And buildings might burn down. We might have some riots in the streets. I have no clue what's coming up. Speaking of the character that is the source of a lot of this, Caitlin Dever as Abby. Cool little glimpse at her and some
Yeah.
interesting backstory. I like where they started her out from, with the grave of her late father, who was
Hmm.
killed by Joel in the hospital storming at the end of the season 1. So what do you think about Caitlin Dever?
Yeah, I liked her. I also probably was thinking, like, when the show was originally being announced, I was considering her. I thought she should have been considered to play Ellie originally. So,
Yeah, yeah,
interesting to see how she still ended up in this show, just as Abby, who is like the complete opposite, I guess, in a lot of
yeah.
ways. So, but I think she looks fun. She looks like she's pissed off. Like, she looks like it's not
Yeah.
really a role I've seen Caitlin
She's got
Dever,
some venom to her.
Dever,
Yeah,
however you say. I don't know if I've ever really seen her do this kind of role before. Usually, it's more like
uh-uh.
like lighthearted, more like fun characters that I've seen from her. So yeah, she looks pissed off. She looks mean. She looks like she's ready to fuck some shit up. So
Yeah.
yeah, we barely had her in this episode, just kind of at the beginning and at the end. But it'll be really cool to see how the show treats her versus how the game treated her.
She's such a good actress, and I think it was cool to see like, okay, she does have this in her bag. Because I think we were all on board with the casting when she got announced as Abby, but it is like, all right, this is a very different role for her, and I think she'll bring that venom and that hatred for Joel, but I think she'll also bring a little bit of that wholesome energy on the side, maybe. She's very much on a revenge quest. I think a lot of the themes of the second game are about revenge and where it gets us and this chain of violence, this cycle, this never-ending cycle that's created by Joel in that hospital. Um, and I just think they're going to capitalize on it. I get chills talking about it. Like, it's a really cool theme, man. And I think they're really going to capitalize on it. Again, like, what can you, I said his name a bunch of times, but Craig Mazin, like, he's going to put some life into this show and I think really push it in a even better direction than what the game had it. Um, and yeah, I'm interested to see where Caitlin Dever, uh, how she portrays Abby and where her scenes pop up because I think we'll get episodes with her, fully with her. And I think they know the actress that they have, the caliber that they have there, and they're gonna use her. They're gonna use the Falcon, the new Falcon that's on her
Uh-huh.
side as well, and some of her team as well.
Anthony
They're gonna,
Ramos, right?
yeah,
He's the new
yeah.
Falcon. Yeah. Yeah, it was cool to see like some of the additions to the cast we got. I really liked um Isabella Marcotte
Oh,
as
she stole the
Dina.
episode.
She is great. She's like the new find of this season. Not that she hasn't been in a lot of stuff we've seen already, but just as a new addition to the cast this season, I think she's really going to stand out. So excited to see more of her for sure.
No, I agree. That was she is Dina, man. That was amazing casting. I think again that scene with her and Ellie at the ball was just ripped from the game. They actually had the same song from the game as well.
Mm,
And they had the performers of that song performing the song on stage too, which
that's
I thought
cool.
was just that's a cool Easter egg. Throw it in there.
And then just a
She's
random cameo from Bart Bass, Gossip Girl's
right,
own Bart
right. That's what
Bass. I
I
was
was
like, I
gonna
haven't
say
seen this
too.
guy in forever.
Bart
Where's he
Bass,
been?
man. Bart Bass comes in to hate the LGBTQ. That's what he
Just like
does.
fucking dykes.
Jesus
Did
Christ.
not like them. And then Joel came in and
No,
just
at
tackled
all.
his ass.
Laid him out. And I love that's just what I mean, we're not we're not fathers, but I have a sister and it's like that's what having like a sister or a female family member is like sometimes where you stand up for him and you do it in the completely wrong way. And maybe you're a bit in the wrong, but you're also like, what else can I do? Joel laid his ass out and
Yeah.
I like that Joel was there to protect her, but it was because a line was very much crossed at that moment too. Like he said a bit too much for them, saying it's a family outing, okay, but then adding on the Dykes part about it.
Exactly. No,
Joel was ready to snap on him.
I was saw where he's coming from with like it is like a family
Sure,
event and
yeah,
these two people just making out in the middle of the dance floor. Like, okay, maybe we don't have to go that far. Maybe we should tone it down a little bit. But
yeah,
obviously, yeah, Joel laid him out when he crossed the line there.
dude, they're having their moment. And I think that was so. I really liked the way it was filmed. Like I thought it was just so crisply edited in there. And Isabella Merced just kills those lines with, oh Ellie, they should be terrified of you. And like that's amazing foreshadowing for what we're going to see. And I think you
Mm-hmm.
can pick that up as an audience member that hasn't played the games. Like, exactly, not exactly where it's going, but what that line might be foreshadowing that she is someone to be terrified of. And I love the warmth that scene brings me. I think seeing them adapt it just like that from the games, that was one of my favorite. I know it's in the beginning of the game, and it's a small scene. That was one of my favorite scenes in the game. I think Dina brings a lot of life to the game. I think she's sparingly in the game, but she has a lot of impact on it. And I think Merced's uh they know that how great of an actor she is as well, and they're gonna use her even more in this, and she's gonna have a great impact on this story.
Yeah, this is gonna be fun to watch week to week. This is,
Yeah.
the first season was really like you said, like every week when it's coming out, you're watching it as soon as it drops. I
Appointment
think
television.
Yeah, exactly. This is going to be very much the same. I'm interested to see where they leave off in season two,
Yeah.
spinning into season three, because like you said, they're and like was recently released in the trades that they said they're going to expand Last of Us Part Two into season 2 and season 3. So I wonder if they're gonna add more on, or if there's gonna be more narrative like created for season 3, or if it's gonna like just cut off in the middle of the game, season 2, and then
Right.
go into season 3, or how that's gonna work.
There are points where they can cut off, but yeah, it is, and there are like speculative points, like yeah, this would be a great place, like a halfway point. But it's it can go a couple different ways where it can cut off. It can lead up to our big moment. It can get past that and get to the middle of the game where there is a cutting off point and switching of the characters that we're seeing their perspective from. So
Well, I don't think you can cut off. That'd be too early if you try to cut the season
you can
2
lead
in.
up to that, right? Though,
But
like
that's a lot of lead up
that would be
because
a
it happens pretty
crazy.
early in the
Could
game.
you imagine? Could you imagine?
That'd be a
There's
great.
eight
It would
nine
be a
episodes of
crazy
this,
ending.
and the bodies would be burning on the street.
Yeah. Well, we
I
need
wanted to
that
give
to
a
happen so we
quick.
can talk about it more. But
I
yeah.
agree.
Anyways.
Quick shout out to young Mazzino as Jesse, the Asian guy who
Uh
pops
huh.
up, Jesse,
Yep.
and
Yep.
he's a great actor. I think he is Jesse from the games. Like that's one nobody's disputing that casting. That was spot on. For all the complaints we have about casting in the show, you cannot complain about young Mazzino. He was awesome in Beef. I think he really won me over in that show because he plays a character that's not really approachable at first, and then gives you his own backstory, and you're like, holy crap, this guy had this great performance like under our feet this whole time. So I'm excited to see if they use Jesse a little bit more. I think it's cool when they pack out their shows just littered with talent all the way to the edge of the show, filling it to the brim with great actors. So good for him. And then Tommy was a really important part of this episode too. And
Hmm.
I like him when he's around. I think he needs to be really important this season too. In the second game. So keep feeding us more Tommy. I really like him, his moments in this show, especially with Ellie when they're shooting the straggling zombie. I think is really fun. So I like Uncle Tommy.
Yeah. I don't have many other thoughts on this episode other than that I'm really excited to see where the show goes, where it
Yeah,
ends, leading into season 3. But this is going to be must see every week. So hopefully it's as good as the first season, which I think it will live up to it.
I think so. It's an uncomfortable story, but it's one that deserves to be told. And I think we need stories that give us different perspectives and explore these themes that might be darker per se. We'll talk about it in future weeks, I'm sure. But I completely agree with you. Like this is a great story and I want it to live up to season one. And I think it will. I have no doubt about that.
Yep. Well, we wanted to talk about video game movies, right? You wanted to talk about some video game movie adaptations, ones we like, ones we don't, in conjunction with The Last of Us, even though it's a TV show, not a movie. But you want to lead us off there? That'll be our last topic here.
No, yeah, just in general, I hope we might be turning a corner with video game adaptations. You saw Minecraft, I think recently, that's taken on
That's a
a lot
different
of money,
style of video game movie for
right?
sure, but holy shit,
But
it's cleaning up at the box office. Yeah.
video games are all different styles. We might hop on Fortnite and then we might play God of War. And those games have nothing in common, but God of War is in Fortnite for some reason, right? So
Everybody's
there's
in
a
Fortnite now.
it's like it's all connected somehow in video games. But like I might play Elden Ring and then I might play college football. That's what video games bring us is that it is just the biggest, most vast source of entertainment. So when they see that, I think for a while all video game movies were the same or had the same like kind of tropes to them. You watch like Prince of Persia and Assassin's Creed and a lot of those
Sure.
really crappy mid 2000s, early 2010s video game adaptations. And they just felt so similar. Like we're making the game, but it's a movie now.
Yeah.
And I think nobody really like even up to the Uncharted game or Uncharted movie, where it's just like, what are we doing? And I think
Oh yeah. Uncharted, that was my main question was what are we
they're
doing?
they're gonna see I hope they see the massive potential in something as dumb as a Minecraft movie, or
Exactly.
as highbrow as a Last of Us show. This can open the door for other, prestige television, hopefully, like a BioShock show, like maybe a Death Stranding movie. Maybe some Metal Gear Solid stuff gets adapted. We got Zach Kreger next year, I believe. Is it Kreger who's
Kreger,
directing
yep.
Resident Evil?
Hmm.
And I've already said like that's one of my most anticipated movies for next year already. Um, but if we keep sticking the landing like this, I think we're going to get tons of it's so cool because it'll be another like wave of franchise type films, but they're also not to some people. And so they can fill like a really good void in Hollywood where it'll just be fresh too. It won't be the 57th comic book movie of the year and the Marvel formula and all this. And so I just think we're turning a corner. I really hope this is momentum that we can capitalize on. We've come a long way from like 2016's Assassin's Creed and Warcraft coming out in the same summer and just
Right.
killing both those franchises. Like
Hmm.
it used to seep over into the games and make the games, less playable, it seems like after that too. So I hope we get more crossover and have more potential opened because of the success of Minecraft and because of the success of The Last of Us, which has very much found its audience on HBO.
Yeah, I think video game movies are pretty volatile. Like some of them, I
Yeah.
think just the idea of making a video game movie is very risky. It can be very high risk, high reward. Like the Minecraft movie, which I don't think anybody thought was going to do as good as it's doing. It's such a silly movie, and it has basically, it's not even really about Minecraft. It just kind of uses the idea of Minecraft to make a silly,
Yeah, to
like
tell
fun
a
movie
funny
around.
story. Yeah.
Um, but yeah, you had like Five Nights at Freddy's, which did really well, even though it was streaming day and day on Peacock a couple
Yeah.
years ago. That movie I didn't like very much, but a lot of
No.
people saw it. They're already making a sequel to that. Um, Sonic the Hedgehog recently, all those movies have done really well. I haven't seen any of those, but the kids love them. They make a ton of
Yeah.
money. So you have
Mario
like those
Bros did well the other
Mario
year.
Brothers made over $1 billion. Just watch the studio; they'll
Did
tell you
very
all
well.
about it.
Yeah.
Um, but then again, you also have movies recently, video game movies like Uncharted, which was fucking awful and didn't really
Yeah.
make a lot of money. And like you said, Assassin's Creed. So I think it's really volatile. Like that kind of style of movie, it can be good, but it can also be really bad. Like all the other Resident Evil movies are notoriously bad. We had
Yes.
Mortal Kombat a few years ago, which was pretty bland, and they're making a sequel to that.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, I hope we're turning a leaf here because there are a lot of really cool video games that have yet to be adapted.
Oh
And I
yeah.
think
Like
that could,
treasure trove for
yeah,
studios.
I
Yeah.
think that could open the door. And it's kind of sucks that they've bungled a lot of good video games already, like Uncharted,
Yeah.
like Assassin's Creed, like stuff that I think would lend itself
Yeah.
pretty obviously to a movie adaptation. And then the studio just fucks it up. So like we
I
can't afford to keep doing that.
it's always like it's curious to me why they choose what they choose. Like Mortal Kombat is not a movie.
No,
Like and I'm
it's not.
and
It's not.
it could be one good movie, but even from there it wouldn't be a good series of movies. It wouldn't be a good trilogy because there's just not a whole lot there. And I don't like we love the Mortal Kombat games. I know we've played them against each other. Like we
Yeah.
Mortal Kombat's awesome and it'll be awesome forever because it's Mortal fucking Kombat. Like that's
But
what
it's
it
just
is,
a
but
fighting game. It's
but
just
it's a
two
fighting
characters
game.
fighting.
That's exactly what it is, and that's so
And you
it's
can't do it
really
like a Minecraft thing with Mortal Kombat where
no, it can't be
Minecraft is for
memified.
kids, right? And it's
Yeah,
silly and it's totally different.
it
So
can't become the next Minions.
no.
And I think Sony movie studios having a hold of a lot of these properties scares the hell out of me as well because Sony video games amazing, Sony animation amazing, uh, Sony studios for movies
Not
not
so, some good,
amazing,
some bad.
not
Columbia
amazing.
Pictures, yeah. Some
And
great, some not
so
great.
they're making a Ghost of Tsushima movie in the coming year. They've
Hmm.
been announcing some castings and directors for that. And it's like, holy crap, this could really open the water gates. Like that's a game that should be a movie, but also, what if you screw it up, it's the next
Exactly.
Assassin's Creed, and then you'll kill, your base audience. It's
And
the
you piss a
players of
ton
the
of people
game.
off when you do that,
So yeah,
right? If
so
you
you have to service the game
uh-huh.
first and foremost. You have to be making the movie for a game. You can't be making it for general audiences because, that's where your audience is. It's like adapting a book. Like you need to make it appeal to the fans of the book because
But I
that's
think if
where
you make
your
it
your money's at.
if you just make it good though, word of mouth will help you like The
Oh,
Last of
oh,
Us, right?
exactly.
Like people talk
Exactly.
about how good it is and then you'll get a wider audience in. But
Yeah.
yeah, if
And
you
but you
piss
you
the
very
people who
first need
like
to
the game
capture
off,
the
you're
audience
fucked.
that's already there and need to
Exactly.
give them a reason to come back. And then that's when I go up to like my mom, who's not going to play Ghost of Tsushima, but I'm going to tell her, yeah, it's a samurai movie. It's awesome. Like
Right.
and she can digest it in 2 hours. She's not gonna sit for 30 hours of gameplay. Or like my sister's not going to play the Last of Us games because she's not going to want to craft and build an inventory of bottles and throw them around the
Right.
clickers. But she might watch the show because it has a lot of tension and interesting characters to her, and it's told in a way that suits her. So, but it needs to be something that I can recommend as well to
Hmm.
those people. Like I can't just tell my sister watch the Mortal Kombat movie because it's garbage. So I hope we're turning a new leaf. I just wanted to add that at the end here. I really think there's just a treasure trove again of games that are just sitting there. I think BioShock is my number one example of like Guillermo del Toro's been attached to a BioShock movie that's never going to happen, and that would be incredible. So
Even
why
like some of
why
the
aren't we
like
doing it?
a Metal Gear Solid, like
Oh
a
yeah.
movie like that, or they're obvious they will do God of War at some point. And
Yeah.
after seeing Minecraft, it's only a matter of time until we get a Fortnite movie. Like that is going to happen 100%. That is going to happen. The crazy reaction when the Minecraft shit is like, so all the memes like tap into that with Fortnite. It'll be that
Yeah.
times a million if you make a fucking Fortnite movie. Like people would be going crazy in the theater for all the stupid Fortnite shit. So
Dude, say what you want, but Fortnite's forever. Like
exactly.
Fortnite
And
is still going. It's still
and
a good game.
and it
It
spans
still
so
is.
many different generations and age
Yeah.
groups that there's no way that David Zaslav, if he doesn't already, is not uh, currently acquiring the rights to Fortnite
Right.
to make a movie. Because if you want to make stupid IP shit, that is like top of the barrel. That should
Yeah.
be like absolutely number one thing you got to make. But
Well, DC's already made a Fortnite Batman crossover comic, so maybe there you go,
there you
right?
go.
Like there's WB's property right there is Fortnite probably. I'm sure that's being schemed up in the high and mighty offices of Zaslav right now.
If I am Seth
Um,
Rogen in the studio, I am pitching a Fortnite movie like
yes,
today. Like
yeah,
that's the first thing I'm fucking doing.
yeah, and you can have people buy in like actually at the theater it's going to be charged at V-Bucks or whatever. You know, you get some people to buy in, you can market the shit out of
Oh
it too.
yeah. Oh
And like
yeah.
imagine I was just seeing the Sabrina Carpenter skin in Fortnite, right? Like
Uh-huh.
people are starting their own bands in Fortnite in the Royale mode right now. So
Have a
like
bunch of celebrity
have
cameos too with
celebrity
right
cameos.
Snoop Dogg, Sabrina Carpenter, fucking Mariah Carey,
Yeah.
Thanos, whatever the fuck, make it
Well,
like a free guy kind of thing.
one if you have WB like attached, you can have a ton of properties
Right, use
there.
all the Warner Brothers
And
stuff.
I think it'd be interesting. Like, what would a Fortnite movie be? Like the Hunger Games type? Would it be like a spoof on Hunger Games with
I
all
don't
these
think you
different
can make it a
characters? Like,
serious movie. It has to
how
be
could
more like
they?
Minecraft where it's like I got sucked into the world of Fortnite and I'm just in
Right,
Fortnite and I'm just
just a
in this
common
battle
guy.
royale. Yeah, or I don't, or maybe you follow like the default skin, like the blonde hair guy default
Right.
skin, and he's your main character, and then you have Peely and you have all the I don't know what
You
they're
see the
dropping in
Black Knight. Oh
together. Yeah,
God,
maybe it is like a Hunger
John
Games
Wick.
thing.
Oh my
Yeah, John
God.
Wick. Maybe it is
It
like a
could be a
Hunger Games,
total like.
like a spoof on Hunger Games.
It could be like the default skin. I like that idea. See, we're pitching it. It just writes itself.
Yeah.
The default skin, and he has like a team, right? And they're more experienced. You know, maybe you get a Black Knight, like a Peely.
Yeah,
You know,
sure,
maybe
yeah.
the cuddle commander, the pink bear. But like they like cross over, like they land at like Tomato Town, safe place, right?
Yep.
Number one victory royale. They have that song playing too.
Yep.
And then they're walking across the map. The storm's coming. One of their friends gets lost in the storm. Oh my God. You know, what a horrible moment.
Yeah.
And then they go across like Tilted Towers or like Pleasant Park. And they're like, what's that place? Oh, we don't go there. That place is
It's
hell. You know, and
dangerous.
like it's just
Tilted.
you see people just shooting at each other and like John Wick skins shooting back and forth and like but see like it speaks to so many people and it's just such an
Exactly.
easy pitch. Like you can make that an hour 40 minutes and just or an hour 30 and just loop it
Yes.
all day in these big theaters and just
Like
make
Minecraft, like fucking
drop it
Kool-Aid
in the
movie. Like
summer,
it's
make
just dumb,
billions.
dumb fun. And Minecraft, what I will say, it was fun. It was, and I
Right.
love Minecraft. I love the video. I've played Minecraft a lot. I just play it all the time. But if you don't have to care about the video game of Minecraft at all, because it's just using that as like
Yeah.
an endpoint to just have like a goofy comedy happen
Right.
in Minecraft world.
I
So,
think Jack Black's perfect for it,
oh,
right?
he's
Like
perfect. Yes.
he very from the clips I've seen, he just wears it on his sleeve, right?
Yeah.
Like
He
he's got that
loves it.
look on his face the whole time. Like you can tell he's having a great time. Like uh I think the it speaks to the theater experience again. Like the the quality of the movie versus the how the crowd should act,
Yeah.
right? Like
Well, I'm
these
just
are
glad people are going back to movie theaters. If this is
right,
what we need
like
to fill
whatever
movie
it
theaters
takes.
up and fund some more like passion projects from Warner Brothers, shit like that.
Go ahead.
Support our local movie theaters, make sure they're doing okay because theaters have really been taking a huge hit, especially since COVID. It's never rebounded and it might never fully rebound to what it was before. So it's good to have this stuff, even if it's not like fucking Martin Scorsese doing a fucking Minecraft movie.
Yeah.
But at least we're having fun at the movie theaters. We're getting a lot of people to the theaters. That's what I like to see. So if we can get more stuff like that, amen.
Robert Eggers Fortnite.
Robert
Could you
Eggers
imagine?
doing
We
Fortnite.
want to get a
Shit.
visionary on this. Like
Yeah,
he'll adapt the whole world. He'll adapt the island. Like don't worry, he'll do it all practically. Like oh my god,
Robert Eggers Fortnite, or like what about a Chad Stahelski, like a John Wick style
that would be
fighting
so
John
sick.
Wick style Fortnite?
That's what it should be. Like it should be amazing action, but like PG, very
Right.
PG,
It has to
right?
be PG.
But it should be like action packed, hilarious, like stunts going on. Your whole screen's filled
Yeah.
up with
Or
things.
like a David Leitch, which is still like in that
Right.
same vein. Yeah, David Leitch style or some action guy.
That'd be crazy. That'd be
Yeah.
awesome.
But
Yeah,
video game
Fortnite movie.
movies in a weird spot. I think maybe in a better spot than they were even like a couple weeks ago. So
Absolutely. Well, I watched Moist Critical a lot, and he did the Minecraft movie review, and he did it the first day, and he was like, "My theater's empty," and he was reviewing the movie in the theater, like, yeah, so it's not that good right now, like it is what it is. It's dumb fun. I'm in an empty theater, and then this week later, he's been like, "What the hell?" Like, I went like premiere Thursday, thinking it would be like
uh,
peak showing, and then like 3 4 days later, it's a meme. It's everywhere, and like it's just a better experience in a full theater. Like,
with a bunch of kids screaming chicken
right,
jockey.
right. And we talked before, right before this about like Skyscraper, how we watched that horrible rock movie in the
But
theater.
it's just fun
I
to
w-
go laugh and have a good
right.
time.
I will never watch that movie again. I will never watch it alone at home. I will never like put
No.
on like, all right, I need a good action flick. I need Skyscraper. But there's the crazy lady like 4 rows behind us who was having the best time of her life and
And we were
yelling.
having a good time
And
too. It was a
we were having a
fun
good time,
theater
and then
experience.
you hear her 4 rows back saying, "Oh my God," when he was jumping and doing all this stuff. And so we just buy into the experience. Like, all right, we're here. I paid $12. I didn't pay it to have a crappy time.
Right, got to
So
get your money's worth
let's
somehow.
let's buy right into this movie. Will I ever think about this movie again besides the moment in the theater? Hell no. But that moment in the theater was fun. It was undeniably fun. It's a 1 star movie, if that, right? It's
Sure.
a terrible movie,
Skyscraper, not
but
a quality film.
great experience in the theater though. And that's where I don't think Minecraft, from what has been said, like I don't think it's a 1 star movie. I'm sure it's a
It's
little bit
better than Skyscraper.
definitely better than that, right? Like edges out Skyscraper,
Yeah.
thank goodness. But I think even Minions a couple years ago was not a great movie, but it was a great experience. We were before COVID, we were giving Aquaman $1 billion. We were handing out $1 billion box office returns left and right.
For
It's
real.
crazy to me. Aquaman made more than the Batman because of just the time and what it was. So we were on a box office hot streak and just going to crazy levels of Hollywood. And I think the one of the good things about the pandemic is it forced, more people to watch films inside and learn like about the directors or about A24 and about these smaller independent films, Neon. These studios have really come up in that time where I think maybe they were getting edged out in 2019 by a lot of these bigger studios, and we're just getting kind of dominated at the box office there. And so I like that we're a little more balanced on that aspect, but I do want to see these box office success because when the box office is going well, like it's like our stock market, right? It's just if the stock market's going well, the country's humming along. So
Exactly.
that's how the box office feels too. If it's going well, we're in a good spot for movies. So more video game movies, make the Fortnite movie, make $1 billion and keep supporting our industry.
Yeah, I think that's a good place to leave it.